Get it
Okay,
back to me.
okay, I will, thank you.
Thank you. I thought you'd be interested in that.
Okay, let's
How did it go this morning?
What's that?
How did it go
I
this
thought
morning?
it went okay.
I thought it did too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good. Everybody was happy to be back.
yeah, there's nothing like they do.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to Chet.
Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. This is the Mount Vernon Board of Education meeting for Monday, August 16th.
Well, me trying to explain
You can leave them open, I'd rather have the air.
I was freezing Saturday.
That was funny. And she just got the covers out. And I said, oh, you can have it out.
I'd like to call the meeting to order, and if you'll please rise, we'll say, I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And would you please call the roll?
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Golodai.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the July 19th meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Oops, you beat me.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Getzmann. Were there any corrections? Hearing none, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Golodai.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. Looks like we have a nice group, and welcome especially our teachers back. This was their opening day, so that was exciting. I understand it went very well. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. And I hope we'll have a really good year. And Mrs. Getzmann, what would you like?
Just welcome. I just want to acknowledge all of the work that has gone on throughout the summer in preparation to get back to our buildings. Not only our custodial staff, but I saw a post from a teacher the other day who showed a picture of her classroom decorated, set up, and ready to go. And she said, how did this happen? And the teachers know, and I just hope the parents and the community understands that the teachers just do not walk in first day. There are lots of hours put in over the summer months in preparation, not just physically, but so that they are ready to get in and teach the children the new materials. So just hats off and thank you to all of our administrators and teachers as they've prepared over the summer months.
Thank you. Mrs. Golodai.
Thank you all for coming this evening, and for those that are home watching. Thank you is never enough to tell our community or our educators for what they do. And I've always believed that education will lead to a more equitable and peaceful society, and we continue to hope for that. And the teachers are a major part of that. And so are the people that support our public schools. So thank you, everyone, and thank you to the summer crew and all of the work that has gone into preparing for this unusual beginning and a special year, hopefully, to come for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Workman.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending this evening. Nice to see a full house. I'll echo some of the same thoughts. Appreciate the administration and everybody's work in getting the school year started. And I also saw pictures of teachers' classrooms, and it's enjoyable to see that going into a new year. So looking forward to a positive, good year coming up. And again, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, certainly appreciate the attendance as well, and being able to see that there are people that are interested in what goes on in our school system. When you're out in the public and then all of a sudden you become a board member, you become aware of things and learn things and get to compare what the public perceives versus what you know. And it's been 12 years that I've been on this board, and it's been a very rewarding experience. And I would say that on Saturday, most people don't think to come, but we had a work session. This is a fairly formal process, but the work sessions are open to the public where you could hear even more. And we had a very productive one on Saturday that further helped us to look at the accomplishments and the things that, frankly, some of it where you're sitting, but more importantly for the education of the students and the planning that is being looked at on how to use tax dollars wisely to make sure that whether it's COVID or just to the curriculum and so forth. There's a lot of thought and a lot of attention being made to make sure this is as good a year as we can possibly have. So that's just my perspective as a board member and also as a taxpayer in this community as well.
Thank you. Mr. Seer?
I too would like to welcome everyone here today. It has been an exciting day. I'll share maybe just a little bit more about that when we get into the superintendent's part of the report. But you know, all 475 of our staff came back today for a convocation this morning. And so, you know, we're really kicking it in full, and I couldn't help but be reminded more of that when I heard the drums apparently outside. I don't know if the band got the message yet, but it's exciting to see a lot going on. So welcome to everyone.
Thank you. And we have no commendations and communications.
Not today.
And we have no student government. Is Mrs. Smith up here? No, nothing, okay. And Mr. Lang?
He's not here today.
Okay, we have public participation, and I've been reminded to read the statement of our board public policy on participation. And each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes. And the portion of the meeting during which participation of the public is invited shall be limited to a total of 15. So we only have 2 people who signed up, so it will not be that long. But Mrs. Rose has agreed to be our timekeeper, and our first person this evening who'd like to speak is Mr. Jim Beach.
Thank you. This is the spot.
This is it. First, thank you for the opportunity. Words. Words can inspire. Words can destroy. Choose the words well. Matthew 4:4. Jesus spoke, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God." Our words have power. They impact others. They also impact us. Matthew, Jesus spoke again, "But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For thy words thou shalt be justified, by the words they shall be condemned." Kind words cost nothing, yet they accomplish much. With the help of grace, the habit of saying kind words is very quickly formed. It is not speedily lost. Jesus brought to us the most powerful word. He is the word, the gift of grace to anyone who seeks it. Power of words found in the Bible in Proverbs. "And hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered. The way of life is above to the wise, that he may depart from hell beneath. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. The words of a man's mouth are as deep waters, the wellspring of wisdom is a flowing brook. There is the speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. For a good tree bringeth not forth corrupt fruit, neither doth a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. For every tree is known by his own fruit, for the thorns men do not gather figs, nor a bramble bush gather thy grapes. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For the abundance of the heart is the mouth speaketh." God's word in 1 Corinthians. "For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto which are saved it is the power of God. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life." There are many abominations listed throughout the Bible. Many of them are brought to light in our schools. It is not the light one hopes for. Jesus is the one and only light. Jesus is the light from heaven. The abominations that we know of, critical race theory, homosexuality, transgender, evolution, these are from the dark side, they're demonic. These teachings appear throughout the world, growing rapidly. They have no place within the Mount Vernon City Schools. I have a question. Do you truly care about children's future? It is not so that what they see and hear now from the educators whom they greatly respect.
Mr. Beach, your time is up, but thank you.
Gotta read one paragraph, little.
If you have something written you'd like to share with the board, that would be fine. We'd be happy to read it, but your time is up.
If you said it here, I can. That's really what's important.
Yes. It's just a short. Thank you.
Out of respect to the gentleman, I'm going to just read this quick paragraph. Remember, first and foremost, these children, young adults, human beings will become our judges of courts, politicians, doctors, school board members. Do we want them to follow a selfish man's agenda, false gods of money and wealth, or seek the truth which our nation was founded upon? In God we trust, and make the best decision for all people. Thank you.
And Mr. Jeff Klein?
Amen, Mr. Beach. That's how we go through society now. 3 minutes, your time's up. It's more than 3 minutes with these children in this school. I've been doing a little studying here recently, and I'll have more to come in the upcoming months. It'll be every month through the whole school year. Listen to a guy last night by the name of Ramaswamy. And some of these names I mentioned, if you can take note of them and check it out, look into some other things. This Ramaswamy talks about what is coming in wokeism. Wokeism is a religion, okay? It's coming into our schools. It's coming right out of our college campuses. The other day I heard mention that the squad, AOC and their berry band of women that hate this country are in charge of our school. They're on some boards running our schools in America. Did anybody know that? Probably not. There is some evil behind all this that's going on with all the isms. Wokeism is just another one. And I highly suggest, I'm going to start this book and I'll be sharing with you in the coming months, Mark Levin, American Marxism. This is what's going on in our schools, and we only get 3 minutes to talk. I wish we could go back to the days of school. Mr. Thompson and some of you guys, and all of you are old enough to remember when prayer was in school. We didn't have to worry about bullying. We didn't have all this nonsense. If you want to get a handle on the bullying, stop with the equity, the racial equity. The blacks are lesser people. Oh, they deserve special attention in this group and that group. This is causing more division for our kids than anything. And then we wonder why kids are on drugs and committing suicide. Some of this stuff I shared last week, but I'm going to touch on it again. I had an article I wish I'd have brought tonight. I'll bring it. Next one. It's out of the Epic Times. And I suggest you pull it up. It was from last week's, I think, edition. They come out once a week on a Friday. All of this, 2 whole pages, was on the schools. All the nonsense that's going on in the schools. And between Mark Levin and the Epic Times, there's a lot of good information. The Christians don't get it. I'm telling you right now. The Bible says we're destroyed because of a lack of knowledge. That is so true.
That's true.
So true. We don't look at it, and I know this might be an okay little school area. The band looks great, the football teams look great, this and that, all the stuff going on looks good. But the behind the scenes, like with some of the closed sessions, why do we, that's another question I had a guy ask, why do we have executive sessions? And I've seen some of the titles in the executive sessions in here. The stuff that we, the public, never get to see. We have no clue with some of the, let's read through some of the things in the closed meetings and you'll see a few buzzwords in there, what's going to be going on. And I would like to find out what's going on with the open meetings on Saturday, whatever. If you got something going on, come in, just listen and see what's going on to try and educate myself.
Your time is up.
Time is up. Here we are. All right, we'll see you next month. We'll be back. And we're going to put the word out in the community. The people, taxpayers, parents, and grandparents need to get involved in the school system. Yep.
Board items for discussion. There's none at this time, so we will go ahead to additions and deletions.
We have a number of additions to the board agenda tonight. In section 11, we have the transportation contracts were added in there, and under the personnel and certificated sections, we have a number of supplemental contracts that, as we begin the start of the year, need to get those in beforehand. So those few items for the addition to the agenda tonight.
And then superintendent report.
Yes, I have a number of items for information to share as we take a look at the new year. This morning was a really wonderful time to kind of get back together. We've had a really busy summer, and we've had 55 staff changes and over 30 new staff hired, and for a variety of different reasons, people wanting to move back closer to home, resignations. We've added a few positions to really try to accelerate some learning. So it was neat to see a lot of new faces this morning, and we were able to hold it right here at Energy Fieldhouse. And so we had 76 tables set up. We spaced ourselves out a little bit. I had a big screen, and we had really a chance to reflect. We had a chance to celebrate, and we had a chance to just challenge us as we move into a new year. And we'd love to share some of that information with you as we go on. But our theme for the year was really unite, come together, surround ourselves around one another, our students, to really kind of unite around a vision, an educational vision for the district. Want to reignite or ignite that passion for learning and teaching. And it seemed like last year we found ourselves in a bit more of a survival mode, and we talked about that, and it was just living the day or the week to the next week. And so when we thought about this theme, as we thought about at the end of the year, we really wanted to work hard to get back to a normal. And so we said, unite together, ignite our passion, and game on. And we've kind of had the off season. We've had our preseason here. It's time to get on with the business of education. And I've got some ladies back here. They're wearing T-shirts that say "Game On," so they're advertising as well. But our PDC committee and those specifically were very instrumental in helping us to really set a nice day. We introduced our new staff members. We had our summer scrapbook, which I look forward to sharing with you. But I did want to share with you real quickly our new employees. And so I'll just kind of play this. There's a little background music, but you get a sense who's coming on board. So I'll have you know, Gary did the background music, I did the vocals. Well done, Gary. The other thing that was really neat about the day is our summer scrapbook will generally put together a slide on every employee who sends us in what they did in the summer. We had 110 employees send in those, and we kind of timed it to music and some things, and so it's really kind of neat to reconnect and see where everybody's gone. And probably then, we did get a chance, and it's usually completely a celebratory time. We like to make it exciting as we come in, but we did feel the need to take about 15 minutes and talk about prioritizing mental health. And we've had some unfortunate situations happen in the past year, and we realize that mental health is such an important factor that sometimes gets neglected or gets passed over. And so we had someone from the Freedom Center come and share with our staff the signs to look for, and yet how we can support one another, but we can support our students as well. So I think we're certainly making that a priority and an emphasis this year. And then we followed that up with our trivia game that the ladies put together for us. And when you have 76 tables all ready to clue in with a Kahoot game, if you've ever seen that, it was quite a time. We had about 55 prizes, all the old classic board games. You know, we had them up there, and I think it was a good time had by all. So that gives you kind of a basic information of what was going on there. I do want to share with the board. This went out to the district about a week and a half ago. It is on our website, as well as a letter from me about back to school. And so maybe just sharing a couple of those things tonight, just so you're kind of well aware of what's going on. So the school start date, the first day for students, is this coming Thursday, August 19th. That's for all students grades K to 5, our 6th grade and our 9th grade. We purposely, at the middle school and at the high school, we bring in our incoming 6th graders and our incoming freshmen, and they have a day just to themselves to get acclimated to the building, to get acclimated to staff. They do a lot of really neat kind of PBIS activities on that day. Our kindergartners, we found this to be very beneficial as well. Generally, our kindergarten classes will range between 20 and 22 youngsters per class. And so on Thursday, we'll have half of those students come in. And it really allows them to kind of settle into their classroom, get to know some of the routines without having, all of the entire class. And then we'll flip that schedule on Friday, and then they will all start on Monday. So that's kind of the school start today. We do have some back to school nights. If you look at the opposite side there, the elementary is Tuesday, August 17th from 6 to 7:30, so that's tomorrow. The middle school also has a modified version of their back to school night on the 17th from 4 to 6. But you'll notice if you look at the update information we gave or that's been passed out, they'll have another night, which they call Jacket's First Flight and Parents' First Flight, that kind of thing. And then the high school has chosen to have their building open for folks to walk their schedules, but they'll have an actual night on August 24th, kind of a curriculum, kind of a conversation for parents there. Transportation, as we've mentioned before, mask will be required in all school transportation per CDC requirement. So please be at your pickup locations 5 minutes prior. The start of a new school year on buses, you want to be out there just a little bit early, and please be patient with us because quite frankly, even the bus drivers are kind of learning their new routes, and if anybody's driven around parts of our community, there's a little construction going on. And so we ask for your patience there. Student drop-off and pickups. I know the buildings have sent out specific information relative to it. We've made great strides right here at the middle school and high school to try to improve that pickup drop-off. You may not feel like that at 7:30 in the morning when you're waiting in the line, but we really have made some really good strides. And so really those drop-off and pickups will remain the same. Our learning plan for this year, Mount Vernon City Schools will resume to 100% face-to-face learning for the 2021 school year. If you remember last year, we started out hybrid. It got our feet underneath us, and we found ourselves able to move rather quickly to full 100% in person, and we stayed that way the entire year. And we feel we can do that safely now. As I jump across the other side, breakfast and lunch, Again, a reminder to our community and to our parents that breakfast and lunch are free. And we encourage our students to take advantage of that. We encourage parents to take advantage of that too. And we've actually modified some schedules to make sure our youngsters have opportunities and time to get that breakfast and lunch. The Mount Vernon Digital Academy will continue this year in grades 6 through 12. We have about 100 students who participate in our online digital academy. It's really a blended learning model. Last year we did have a K-5 option. We were in the relatively new stages of trying to understand what COVID and some of those things were. I think what we really found throughout the process, that as the year went on, the number of enrollments continued to drop in the K-5, because I think both parents and students realize, and our teachers always realize, that at that level, just having those students face-to-face is really the best way. But we provided it just as a safety net at that time. We are helping families if they really want to still choose a K-5 online option. If they just contact us at central office, we have a list of those opportunities if they need to do so. Obviously, we all hope that the COVID situation would have been behind us. We had great hope and optimism entering the summer. It feels a little bit deja vu, like it's kind of turning a little bit. We'll continue with our social distancing and our cleaning and sanitation protocols as we always have. And we'll do the very best we can with that. When it comes to masks and face coverings, it seems to be the hot topic going around everywhere. And I just want to maybe share briefly kind of how we came about that. The reality is we've been talking about this for several months. We've been looking at a lot of different options. We've been taking the temperature, not only of our community and constituency, but other districts. And we're carefully considering all of them. We had 4 different options that we were looking at. We also realized that we just came out of a pandemic where mandates were really becoming challenging, and forcing people to do stuff became quite concerning, quite frankly. And so as we took a look at the many different options and talked to the area superintendents, we chose an option that made masks optional. With that being said, as a district, we continue to encourage and welcome our students who want to wear a mask. We would never take that right away from them, but we also made our determination that we wanted to honor the rights of parents to make that choice for their kids. And we realize that there's going to be various opinions on this. We realize that you can find articles that will share your perspective. You can find statistics that will share your perspectives. And we respect all of those. And those who feel differently about this, I mean, I want to choose to respect their opinions as well. But at this point in time, we chose to take the option that would make mask optional and up to parents. We did provide a safety net that if conditions would warrant, if infection or quarantine or spread would rise to a certain level, that we reserve the right to take a look at that. I certainly hope it doesn't reach that point, but that's kind of the position that we've taken. I know that folks are aware that there are conversations in other communities about this. Again, we're going to respect all of those conversations, and we'll deal with those situations when they come our way. Recess and outdoor activities, we're going to continue to encourage kids to get outside, and that means teaching them outside. We went ahead and ordered 10 new tables that are portable, so that for every elementary, so our kids could go outside and learn outside and get out into the nature areas. District communication, we're going to continue to use Knox Alert, but we're going to be transitioning from Knox Alert to a new system. Many of our parents are now getting a lot of their notices or email letters. They're coming through that, but there will be a point in time where we'll opt in, and you'll have to opt in and say, I want to get these text alerts. And so that'll be coming very soon. Vaccinations for students and staff. Again, Mount Vernon City Schools would encourage parents to consider vaccinations of eligible students. We obviously understand that there's an age demographic that they're not eligible at this time, and I know for some that can be quite challenging. But we also believe that that's also the right of the parent to make that decision. And so with that being said, we encourage you to consider and to look at it, but that's going to be a choice that you have to make in the coming days. Again, it's eligible for right now for students 12 all the way up. We'll provide information of where those clinics will be and when it becomes eligible for younger folks. I think parents are the best person to make that choice for their children. And so that's how we're going to address that. Supply lists are online and contact information is there. So wanted to share that information tonight as we look to get back to school, and we're just excited for the start of another year. Items for board approval tonight. We have a number of items in this section. Item 1 is home and community school student participation in athletics. Item 2, in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code, we're looking at some bigger projects using some of our funds that we've gotten from COVID relief funds. And they're really looking at windows and door replacements at a number of our buildings. And we have to have a request for qualifications from an architect, so that's our first notice of that. Those 2 items in this section for your approval.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve those as read.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Golodai. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Were there any questions? Would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Regola Dye.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, the curriculum for the Success Achievement Liaison Report. And if you came just for the beginning of the meeting, this would be a good time if you want to leave, but you're welcome to stay. So, the second article I thought was interesting on Akron City's partnerships with local businesses are key to district's career programs. And Dr. David James is their former superintendent, and he offers students career sampling opportunities. They partner with more than 300 large and small business, and they provide real worldwide details that teachers can tie into lessons that give students insights. Some of the companies they're working with are Goodyear, Bridgestone, as you would expect in Akron, local banks, healthcare, and small businesses. And the individuals are mentoring and training students, and the business leaders are saying that they're most interested in having the students show up on time and contribute to the team. So I thought that was interesting. They also have found that the support for education in the community has really evolved to a point where the business and community-based organizations have been invited to the table with the Akron Public School leaders of ways that benefit both sides, according to the Vice President for External Affairs at Akron Children's Hospital. And he said the school district shares in the decision-making and is willing to share its challenges as well. And I know we have a business advisory council, so we're attempting to do that, but I think this is a pretty wide scale, and I'm sure we could maybe even expand our business partnerships and give more opportunities to students. The next article, the third one, is augmented reality to support learning. And this was something new to me, and maybe some of you are familiar with it, but augmented reality can help engage students in lessons. Genoa, area local schools in Ottawa, is using this, and teacher Christine Danhoff talks about Merge Cube, which allows students to virtually handle artifacts and objects, and Quiver Mask, which helps students to take on the persona of characters and stories. So I can see where this would be especially helpful in certain classes like geometry. If you're talking about modern projective geometry and three-dimensional figures. And also it said that the stories, the students could take on different characters and make the stories come alive. And students and teachers can use the augmented reality apps to access projection-based, location-based, or recognition-based experiences. So objects or artifacts or media appear to be in the room, and they have a picture of it, and we have it up, but where students actually see it in three-dimensional, it projects it. And then students are able to move in closer and really inspect the figure or whatever it is that they're looking at. So I can see applications for chemistry and mathematics and biology and industrial arts, lots of different areas. And then the research article was pretty interesting. I'll just point out one thing that they did a study of Orange County Public Schools, and they tried to make technology more understandable for parents by making bite-sized lessons and making them available for parents. And they pointed out that parents have become the co-pilots in their children's education in the past year, and as a result, parents, 71% of parents have a greater appreciation for their children's teachers. I was happy to read that following the onset of the pandemic. And this is according to Learning Heroes report by Edge Research, and they captured responses from more than 3,600 parents and guardians of K-12 children. And they also found out that only 33% of parents, however, felt they had regular access to their children's teachers. So this particular teacher is working hard to make herself available to parents other than during just regular school hours. So that's something that we might be able to consider. I know our teachers do try to do that already. So some interesting articles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one item in this section for board approval tonight. It's the approval of a College Credit Plus partnership agreement with Kent State University. So kind of odd partnering with Kent State, seeming like it's so far away, but in this new age where a lot of online things can be taking place, and if the university specializes in something, then we want to provide those options to our kids.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bodai. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Getzmann. Were there any questions? Would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Regola Dye.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And fiscal services.
Open it up, if you don't mind. Let's go down to page 3. Kind of an interesting time to look at this because it just represents the first month of the fiscal year. So you can see a lot of our real estate tax coming in, our foundation, which I expect to change slightly as we move through the next couple of months. Two things I wanted to point out really. You can see the advance in. A few years ago, the board made a decision to pay for some HVAC stuff in the high school out of general fund and pay itself back essentially out of PI, so we are now done. So that's great news. And then you can see line 2.06, it's not a large, it'd be a large chunk of money to me, but in the scheme of our budget, $14,000 isn't a massive amount of money, but it does represent a true up coming our way from the ESC versus going the other way, so we were happy to see that. And based on my conversations with Mrs. Forney, we won't have any true ups anymore because we'll be paying monthly. So all that's exciting stuff, and if there's no questions, I just have one other thing to show the board. The modification there you see, the state decided to change Fund 599 last year and give it a different fund. So it's now 584. I would be lying if I said I know why they did that. That is the funds we've been using to send our administrators to trainings, and when we brought in some of the Quad D stuff that Mr. Cedar has been working with our staff and our teachers on, this funding specifically directed to that. So we were greatly pleased to get the funding, but we had to change the fund number. So I need your approval to do that so we can spend those dollars.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the fiscal services items as read.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Workman.
I'll be second.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Were there any questions? Okay, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Ms. Regola Dye.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. And our legislative liaison report.
Thank you, and I apologize if there's no link this evening. I sent the link and I didn't do it the right way, I think, for Jessica, which is not surprising considering my dinosaur technology capabilities. Anyway, so some of the activity, HB 369 requires school boards to approve property tax exemptions of 50% or more for new or remodeled residential properties. HB 370 and HB 373 require all schools to create a seizure action plan. HB 374 would create a Loving State Index which evaluates and ranks municipal corporations in Ohio regarding student critical supports. SB 209 would prohibit the State Board of Education or the Ohio Department of Education or local school boards from mandatory masks. And finally, Ohio's acting state superintendent, Dr. John Richard, will be leaving the Ohio Department of Education in October. And the State Board of Education will need to appoint a new interim superintendent for our school system here in Ohio. So that's all the report for now. If there are any questions or comments, please let me know. And if you have anything that you'd like for me to communicate to our representative, I'd be happy to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item B in this section, recommended items for board approval tonight. We have one contract with AVT Company, that's Wayne Bauer, who has continued to work for the district in a lot of our sound and lighting kinds of things. He was here this morning. If I would put an hourly rate on Wayne, it would be very small. He's well worth what he brings to us. And item 2 is approval of a resolution for cooperative purchasing for school buses with Meta Solutions. We get on this early every single year, and we approve it early, and we order our buses early, and yet I think we're still waiting on 2 buses. So it's frustrating, but we have to kind of stay ahead of the game. And then finally, we have an agreement for police special duty officers. This is an agreement that provides officers at our district events, football games, basketball games. We're going to work somewhat in coordination with both of our local law enforcement agencies. Traditionally, it's been the Knox Sheriff's Department. We're going to coordinate a little bit more with Mount Vernon Police Department because their jurisdiction is within the city where most of this goes on. Sometimes the sheriffs, if something were to happen, have to call MVPD to come over, and they just felt like they could work this out together. So that agreement is there for you.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve those 3 items as read.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Rodai. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Were there any questions?
No question, but a comment. Just thanking our law enforcement for always being there for us whenever we need them. They're terrific, and their compensation is very little compared to what they do for us. So just a thank you.
We've always had a very open agreement with them. Whenever they want to test their dogs, we welcome them. We want to use our facility to support them, but also support our students.
Anything else? Would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Regola Dye.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And student services. First of all, Mr. Thompson, did you want to say anything this evening?
Sure, I'll comment. So again, the committee that I serve on, which has only met one time, has not met since then. However, thank you for the minutes that come from the administration, the High School Athletic Association. So on August 6th, their emphasis mainly was on nonetheless COVID and what are we going to be doing. And we're very consistent with encouraging masks and all that goes with it at our sporting events. And obviously, and I'm sure this community greatly appreciates the fact that that's all kicking in gear this week, and we're all rejoicing to be able to see kids get out there and do, in a way where people can come and participate, right? So, but it's just encouraging, responsible conduct there in terms of the whole distancing piece. However, as I was just checking tonight, just to make sure nothing's changed in 10 days since this is the 16th, our AD says, no news is good news, no mandates nor capacity restrictions for events. We will encourage masks for in-season athletes to hopefully avoid potential quarantine, but we will not mandate it. And it's just sharing what the OHSAA is stating. And so everything seems to be a go at this point.
And thank you for your willingness to serve on that committee. That's a state committee, so it's an honor for you to be on
Oh, thank you.
that. And we have some items.
I have 3 items for approval. One of them is Elite Transportation Service Agreement. This is for a student who is enrolled in a program that's out of Knox County. So we will be doing that transportation back and forth every day. I have a contracted service agreement from the ESC of Central Ohio. This is something that we routinely do for students that need orientation and mobility services as part of their IEP. If you're not sure what that means, orientation and mobility is particularly for those students who are visually impaired and need to learn how to use a cane. And sometimes we have 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds coming in through our preschool programming that we transition into school that are using those canes. And so we don't have anyone locally who has that certification, so that's why we contract out of Knox County. The last one is transportation of a privately owned vehicle, and this is for a student just temporarily until that bus that we've ordered gets here. Right, so I'd ask for your approval.
I would entertain a motion to approve those 3 items as read.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Gulladye. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Are there any questions? Would you call the roll?
Mr. Gulladye.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Personnel.
For personnel, certificated and licensed staff, this is a section that we had quite a few additions to. At the same time, it's not uncommon during this time of the year, so we go from items A all the way through K. Most of those are either salary change notices, they're supplemental contracts, and so on. So items A through K for your approval tonight.
Entertain a motion to approve the certificated licensed staff items as we have agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gulladye. And were there any questions?
Just another comment. Thank you to all the people that went through all the hiring procedures and all the interviews. So thank you, Superintendent Cedar, being the lead in that.
And I think this has to be a record. I don't recall we've ever hired this many in one.
I think the blessing is we really were able to get a good start, and we got quality applicants, and that's not always the case. I know another colleague was at the new teacher orientation was giving out MASA gift certificates for leads on positions because they hadn't filled them yet, and we were pretty blessed that we were able to fill them.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Gulladye.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And classified.
Final section for tonight, under classified staff, no items for information. Number of items for board approval, again, items 1 all the way down through 4 for your approval.
Entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Gulladye. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Getzman. And were there any questions?
Mr. Gulladye.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes. motion carried. And I don't believe there was any need for executive session, so I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Gulladye. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Getzman? And if there are no last minute comments, anybody?
Mr. Gulladye.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried and we are adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.